Welcome back again. It is I, Mr. Gone. And this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. So, you're an early to mid-game player, and you're taking a gander at your account, as we do, and you are feeling like maybe you aren't up to par with other accounts that have a similar roster to the one that you have. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about why that may be happening. So with that said, let's talk about it. So, by design, there are a lot of players that seem to believe that this next champ is going to be the one. This is going to be the one that is going to get me past whatever it is I'm stuck at, whatever wall, wherever you're stalled out at. And so a lot of people will just go for everything. They'll just throw their hands in the air and they will think, well, there's nothing I can do. It's got to be that I just need this other champ, or this just champ that I missed a couple of weeks, or this new fusion that's coming out next week. But after that, that'll be the one. And that belief system, I mean, it does make sense in the sense that, like, pulling champs, once you get them, it feels like something's about to change. It feels like progress. It feels like, yeah, this is it right here. And the thing is that a lot of the times when you're stalled out like that, it's not that you need a new champ, it's that you need to build better teams. And I mean, I'm not saying you don't pull champs, obviously. I mean, it's not like, the game isn't built around pulling champs, because it is. I mean, you're going to be pulling them. It's not like anti-pulls, it's more like pro structure, like building a foundation. Because that's like I said, pulling champs may feel like you're progressing just by adding that to your account, but building a structured foundation for teams is actual progress. So that said, the problem here is that Plarium, being a gambling company, and it's a gacha game, it's designed to make you want to do that. The whole FOMO thing is very real, folks. So it's not that you're doing something like you're not making a stupid decision, because they're telling you that this is what you want, this is what you need. They're hyping up the next new shiny thing, and they're telling you that you need this is what you need. So that thought process is going to make sense to you, because that's why it's going to feel like progress once you've gotten it, because you've been told that's what you need. But the thing is that once you get these new champions, a lot of your problems are still going to stay the same. You're still going to go through, and you're going to look, at the different areas that you're in, the different dungeons and whatnot, and you're going to say, well, I still can't get past, this level of Fire Knight, or I can't get past this level of Sand Devil. You know what I'm saying? Why can't I do this? I mean, these are the champions that other people are using. Why is this not working for me? And the thing is that, like, more champions are not going to fix the inconsistencies in your runs by themselves. And the reason why it feels like they're going to is because, like I said, it's exciting. It's it's the whole rush of the gamble, basically. A little bit, all of us have a little bit of a gambler in them, or they wouldn't be playing this type of game. And building them feels like you're taking action. You're throwing on your best gear. This guy is going to get so much damage. They're going to be so, amazing. And the thing is that throughout all of this action that you've taken, your results haven't changed. You're still stuck where you're stuck. You can't get past it, and you're trying to figure out, well, what the hell? This guy's got, like, my best gear. He should be able to. a lot of the lower levels in these dungeons and whatnot and these bosses, you can do that. Like early in the game, you can kind of do that. You can kind of just brute force your way through things. But as you progress through the game and things start to progressively get more difficult and challenging, now you have to start thinking about, well, you know, what do I need to do other than just build like a few handful of really strong, hard-hitting champions? Like, what else? What am I missing? What am I missing that these other people that have the same people, you know, essentially that I do, what are they doing to progress past where I'm stuck? And so that's why the whole, like, feeling like you've been busy and feeling like you've taken a lot of action is not always actually showing progress in your account. And so what is a team? This is not a team. This is a roster. This is a selection of champs. This is a selection of the people that you're going to use to build your teams. No one singular one, no matter how good they are, is going to just float you through all the content in this game. Every single person in this game, every single champion in this game is designed to do things, specific things. And some of them may just be damage. Some of them may be healers or buff strippers or, you know, whatnot. And so you don't, when building a team, you're not going to rely on just one person to carry you through it. You're going to try to find, what do I need? Who do I need? The thing is that if you try to do just the one champ powering through, and then finally you get to a spot where that's not gonna, you can't do it anymore, now you're right back to thinking, well, I guess I just can't do that until I get this other new champ that's coming out next week. You know, I guess I just can't do that until I get lucky and do these pulls. And you're just going to be forever stuck in this loop doing that same song and dance over and over and over again, which is what Plarium has got you in their greedy little hands, right? Because now the more frustrated you become, the more tempted you are to just pull out your wallet and start buying shards and everything, because your mindset is, I need new champs. Well, how do you get new champs? You spend money and you start buying up all the shards you can, and it's still not solving your problems. And so here you are, frustrated and thinking about quitting. And we're going to try to stop that from happening today. So the whole thing about thinking about your line of thinking when you do when you start building teams is that the builds are not so all over the place anymore, and the content that you're doing starts to become more predictable, right? Like when I go into let's say where are we at here? Oh, not here. Where are you at, Jim? There we go. So when I go into Dragon Hard Stage 10, this is the team that I have built. And everybody is doing a job. Everybody has something that they are doing. And so I have everyone in here is at a speed, as you see. Lydia's 254. Yumeko is actually the fastest. And then the damage dealers, you know, fall behind a lot of that. Acrizia is a little bit faster, only because she's in one of my Hydra teams. So like I said earlier, like sometimes specific builds, you know, for like maybe like Hydra or things like that, might not follow the exact same structure as you would through like a dungeon like this. You might need to build them a little bit different, but you need the same core ingredients. You need, you know, your support, you need your debuffers, you need your buffers, you need your damage, you need those same things, and you need to build them to where they're working together, not against each other, you know. And so, like, let's have a look here. Like, I'll just go through a run real fast. I'll just let it run through. And just to show you what it looks like when you have everything in sync and everything's working the way that it's supposed to. So Himeko is going to be faster, so she's not going to want to do her main ability yet. We get all the buffs and debuffs out. Seer comes in, wipes out with a wave. And then we come in here, reset. We go straight through it again. All the buffs and debuffs. You know, build up the buffs for us to use. Seer wipes out the wave. Now we get to the dragon. She's going to put out her hex over here, which means that when he throws out his poisons, they're all going to get thrown right back onto him. As you see here. And this is what it looks like when you put a team together that everybody has a role. Everybody has something that they're supposed to specifically be doing. And this is what they do. This person does this, and that's what they worry about. This person does this, and that's what they worry about. And when you throw it all together and you make sure that everybody's doing it when they need to do it instead of just randomly all over the place, then you start to get more consistent with your runs. And then you don't have to stress about this anymore. Now you know, you just throw this team in because this was specifically designed for this specific part of the game. And that's what you do. You build teams for your specific different pieces of the game that you're trying to get past. And then when they start to show you results like this, you're like, oh, okay, well, there we go. Now I don't have to worry about that part now. I have that part covered. Now you move on to something else and you start building teams for the other content in the game. Now, the thing is also that the champions are gonna like come and go. Like the champions, right? They're gonna rotate in and out. You're gonna always be getting new champions. You're gonna be getting, you know, the next new shiny carrot they're dangling in front of you. And I'm not saying, I mean, I'm going for this fusion here. I mean, like I said, you know, you dangle the right carrot in front of my face, and I'm gonna grab for it. But you don't need them all. First of all, you got to decide yourself, like, what does my account need? Where am I struggling at in this game? And you know, maybe this new fusion has something that you're lacking, and you do need that. Okay, well then go for that. But the thing is that the champions in this game are going to get power crept. Like the people in here, as good as they may be in whatever it is that they do, are going to be power crept, and the content's always going to be changing. But if you're only relying on one of these champs to carry you through things, you're going to have a lot harder of a time progressing with the game as the content changes and as you progress and get into the harder stages and harder levels. But if you have a sturdy, reliable foundation for that champ to stand on to do their job, then that is going to be a lot more adaptable. What happens is once you've got it working, and now you've got I don't know why I backed all the way out of there. Once you've got it now you just slowly upgrade with the upgrades that we've talked about in the last video. You know, through your Great Hall, through glyphs, and now that you've got the basics down, and you've got all the parts moving together as a machine to move you forward, then now all you have to do is just as you keep doing that content, and as you keep getting higher and higher in the levels of what you're able to accomplish, now you're starting to get the higher level glyphs, the higher level gear, the you know, and again, all of those things, as tedious as some of them are sometimes, they will slowly start to progress your builds and your account as a whole. And then the things that there's a lot to do in Raid. There are so many things to do, but once you start building teams to take care of those specific things, find one, build a team. That's taken care of. Find another, build a team. You know, get the foundations right. those things just start to seem like less of a chore. And with all of the things, I used to be so stressed about how long it was going to take me. Every time they added something new to the game, I was like, oh, for shit's sake, man. Like, now we got this, now we got, Curse City, now we got all these things. We got so many things going on now. This is where building good foundations for like a team to come in and do the things that you need to be doing. And then as you progress in the game and you start adding the glyphs and adding the Great Hall and adding all these things, now you're starting to accomplish these goals a lot faster, right? Now it doesn't take you all day long to come in and wipe all this stuff out and get to the stuff that you want to do. Maybe what you really want to mess around in Grim Forest because that's the new thing, but you got to do all this other shit too. Understandable, but that's where you got to build the teams. You got to build the teams so that it'll get you going, like moving through the game faster, to where you can have more time to really sort through, like, oh, well, what is going on with this, and what are some good teams for me to use over here in Curse City or whatnot. And another thing, so before I get too sidetracked here, when you're building your teams, your roles are going to be more important than your rarity. So basically what you need to do, not that, figure out what you need to do, what needs to be done in this content. All right, let's say you need HP burn. All right, come down here, debuffs, HP burn, right? All right, well, let's say I don't have all these legendaries, or maybe I don't even have any of these epics over here. All right, maybe all I have are some rares that do this. I do have some other ones, like in my reserve vault and whatnot, or not the reserve, the master vault. Well, this is a perfect example, actually, because Selenia was who I needed to get through Sand Devil. I was trying to work my way up to the very end levels of Sand Devil, but I didn't have who I needed to get there. So I looked at some teams that people were doing online. I'm like, okay, well, I need to get an HP burn. All right, well, all I had was, I had all of these, but she was the best at what I wanted to do. And it was, she's Void, which also helped because she was able to do all of the different stages, no matter, what they were. And so attack 3 times, blah, 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 HP burn. And basically my point is, with the whole role is more important than the rarity is, actually another example is, for the longest time, War Maiden, that was my only source of drop defense for when I was starting out. And once I was starting to get the grasp of, like, what do I need to do, like building the teams to do things like get through waves and whatnot, War Maiden, that's the only reliable source of drop defense that I had, and she's Force Affinity, so it wasn't even like it was going to work on, everybody all the time, 100%, but it was a pretty reliable source of decreased defense. But she was a rare. Even when I was using, epics and legendaries for the rest of the team, she was the only one I had, and my point with that is, like, an old shitty hammer is still a hammer, right? So if what you need is a hammer, it doesn't matter what kind of hammer it is. As long as it's a hammer and it'll drive a nail into a piece of wood, use that hammer. Use the hammer you do have, and eventually down the road, maybe you'll come across or get yourself a new, better hammer that does a better job. All right, great. Maybe this hammer does, like, it's a multi-tool, let's say. But even those are kind of shit. But you get what I'm saying, You're going to find what you need, and you're going to put those together in a team. So what happens once you do this is the game is going to become less stressful. You're going to freak out less. You're not going to be so panicked and like, oh, when the new champs come out. My clan, a lot of times will hear me say, well, I'm not going for this one, or I'm not going for that one. Sometimes it was a mistake. I will say that. There was a couple of times, like Wixwell. Wixwell was probably one of the bigger ones that I was like, once I read his kit, and I was just like, man, I didn't get him. So sometimes it was a mistake, but a lot of times you'll hear me say that I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it because I don't. It's not. If I come across them in pulls, great, but I'm not gonna like go through a whole thing, trying to like work my ass off all week trying to get somebody that's not really going to do anything for me. I've got my bases covered. I'm now to a point in the game because of building teams that, and I can cover all of the different content that I need to get through, and which is where I'm trying to help you get to right now, instead of just willy-nilly throwing champs in and just being like, well, this one does a lot of damage and that one does some stuff, like figure out what do I need, what needs done. Even if you have to go through and for like all of the bosses, if you need to go through and you just need to boss guide, go through here. What happens? All right. What do I need to do? They'll even talk about it a little bit down here. What needs done, and figure out what do I need to do to get past this. And then you go through, like I showed you here, and you figure out who do you have that does that thing. Even if they're an old shitty hammer, grab that hammer and go to work. And once you do that, a lot of the stress that was there before, it's not there anymore. I mean, I'll be quite honest with you that this asshole right here is pretty much the only thing in this game that pisses me off. Like I mean, everything else is pretty chill nowadays. Like I don't really sweat anything anymore because I have more confidence in the different content that comes out. Like before, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I would just kind of, well, this guy needs a lot of damage, or this guy needs a lot of accuracy, or whatever. And so I would just kind of build them that way. And then when I threw them all together in a team, they would just kind of go all over the place and do whatever, and then I'd get wiped out and it was over. And once I figured out the structure of how to build teams to do, aside from the niche things that you really need special, attention to certain things, but just your general, building of teams, you want, like your turn meter manipulation, we want those guys first, and same with like your buff, the debuffs, and shit like that, so, and then things, but with that mindset, whenever I'm building a new champ, I don't even have to have a team in mind yet. I just know that, okay, from this speed up is going to be this type of person, and from this speed to somewhere in here is going to be this type of person. And then until you get down the way, you're like, and I don't want to go past this speed with, say, my damage dealers, because now I'm cutting in, and I may cut in front of my debuffer or my buff stripper or whatever it may be. I don't want to cut in front of them, so I need to keep my speeds in check. You know what I'm saying? So with that mindset, you don't even have to have a team in your head yet. You just know that unless you're building them for something specific, you will already know, just going into it, you're already in a team building mindset that'll just carry you forward in this game. And that'll make so much stuff easier as you progress through the game and you get the new champs. You can already have an idea of how you want to build them without even having a team in mind. So that being said, like I said, there'll be a lot more confidence in what you're doing. So as exciting and I mean, I get excited when I pull people I want, but as much as that is so, building strong teams is going to carry you a lot farther in this game, and it's in a strong foundation for those cool new shiny champs to do what they need to do. So that being said, if there are any of you out there that have actually done this yourselves, like, why don't you tell some of the new players down in the comments what it was like for you once you did start to build the teams. Like let them know, like, hey, I couldn't do this. Once I built the teams, it opened a lot more doors for me, or whatever it may be. And with that said, I hope you have a great day / night. And I'll see you next time. Bye.